Now, before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to homie Galaxy Garland from my member server. He was involved in a really bad accident today. Broke several bones, including his pelvis, but fortunately, he will pull through. It's going to be a long recovery process, so if y'all could just say, if you're the prayerful type, say a prayer for him or just wish him well. But anyways, we're thinking about you, Garland, because you're one of the villains, and I hope you enjoy this video because I know you're looking forward to it. So, with that being said, this video is the defense of one of the hardest characters I've had to defend. It's hard to defend because the boy jobs a lot. This boy I'm talking about is Spectre. Spectre, no matter if it's a DC fan or a Marvel fan, basically the consensus is Spectre's a jobber. So with that in mind, I just wanted to set out to find something where he didn't job. And with that, I found the Ostrander 1992 to 1998 run. It was, I believe, 61 or 62 issues. Amazing story. And it's a story where finally Spectre wasn't a damn jobber. He did things from fighting the embodiment of pissed off American women to asking the second strongest character in DC if gay people were in heaven. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the madness of this, and I hope you enjoy the movie of Spectre, the world's most famous jobber. So, issue 1 in the 1992 run, which by the way, this comic run goes down in my top 10 already. It was amazing. But anyways, 1992, we kick it off with Spectre being revealed to be a casual reality warper. He also, according to him, can show you true evil and true death in order to punish you. That's basically all he does that issue. Now, issue 2, justice and vengeance are revealed to be what drives the Spectre, specifically this bounded Jim Corrigan. He goes nuts if he's denied the chance to pull up on you and enact justice. Even in his Jim Corrigan form, which is his human form, he's able to mind hacks people. Now, Jim Corrigan, for those that don't know, he was a detective at one time, dies, and merges with the Spectre. And throughout this run, their relationship is further and further talked about and explained, and so you guys will get a good look at what that is later. Moving on, we see Spectre in issue 2 can actually freely drag you to hell. Bound Spectre is also obviously limited in sight. He has to investigate murders, like that's his job, because he's supposed to, in order to go to heaven, he has to confront evil and understand it, right? So in order to do that, he's got to somewhat be limited in scope so that he has a chance to grow, learn, and understand. That's the human side of the Spectre in this run. Spectre, since the death of Jesus, fun fact in DC, no entity like Spectre can walk the earth unless bounded to a human soul. Fun fact, I didn't know that before this run, so that was pretty cool to learn. Now, moving on, we are led to see that Spectre actually refers to himself as collective wrath. He is not just the vengeance of God, but he's the vengeance of every soul that's been wronged. Issue 2, Spectre, weirdly enough, can't undo emotions like remorse. Doesn't seem to have any power over it. Big amp for the emotional spectrum. Now, he also shows he has casual transmutation hacks. And then we get to issue 3. And we see that the return of the Spectre was spawned by the death of Jim Corrigan. Of course, when Jim Corrigan died, he just went on to be bounded. He wasn't settled in life. Spectre wasn't settled. Two come together to be confused as hell together. That's basically the idea behind it. Issue 4, Spectre is shown to be able to show you casually limbo. This also means he can travel outer-versal distances. He also is not meant to go to heaven or hell. Like I said, he has to confront evil until he understands. He is God's justice, and he must do the Lord's work. Spectre also reacted to death and chased down a spirit right before she made it to heaven. We literally see the light of Heaven's Gate And she was about to get there, and he stopped her. He blitzed and stopped her. And this speed, these absurd speed feats, are completely consistent in this run. I'm telling you, like, this is the one run where he does not job. Next, we see a good bit of character development as it's revealed Spectre, in meeting a girl that killed someone, does not punish guilt. He only punishes evil. She did kill someone, but she didn't have evil intent when it happened. It was an accident. It was a mistake. And he's not going to punish you for that. He punishes those who intentionally harmed God's work. So that was pretty cool to see. Now, moving on to issue 5. Spectre runs up on the Lord of Lies, Shathan the Eternal, in hell. Shathan, who's obviously a powerful, high-class demon, says Spectre boloed him in their previous encounter, which is obviously big ups to Spectre. Because he is not God, Spectre actually doesn't have technically any domain over hell. Even still, he was able to uppercut Shathan, which is incredibly impressive because, like I said, homie's got clout. When they had fought, Spectre basically got hit with every punishment he had ever dished out in the name of God's wrath, right? Doesn't matter. Tanks it. Then he starts ripping apart the Lord of Lies. It was an ass whooping. And then we got this weird, almost Easter egg that seemed to basically become nothing because I've never heard this get expanded upon. Shathan like weirdly speculates that Spectre may be Lucifer. Weird, but interesting, I guess. Moving on to issue 6. The Spectre in this run is constantly being weakened because of the struggle between Jim and the Spectre. There's doubt, there's constant doubt, constant confusion, constant self-questioning that just leads to the constant weakening because he's not fully together mentally. We then see more confirmation that Spectre can not only sense evil, he can sense the level of evil you are, and he can show you hell itself. Spectre is bound only in power by his humanity and passively self-imposes barriers upon himself. Madam Xanadu says he scales even above death herself. Spectre also talks about how death isn't evil. Like, death has oftentimes a negative connotation, but death is neutral. It's not a negative thing. It's something that has to happen. Corrigan says with the use of Spectre's powers, Madam could literally warp everything, and he seems to be referring to like creation. Madam then says, in experiencing this, bit of Spectre's power, she says to even remotely have the Spectre with you is an insane burden. Corrigan tanks it constantly, and he tanks it even worse than she experienced. Later on, more scaling. We knew, most people that reads DC, they know hell is outerversal, but it's considered unfathomable and eternal. Spectre, if evil exists, he can follow it wherever it goes. Angels fear Asmodeus, who captures Spectre. Now, when Asmodeus, this demon, captures Spectre, please note Asmodeus needed prep to pull this off. Even with the prep, Spectre escapes the trap. Spectre can't really harm Asmodeus because of rules, the whole heavenly rules that I told y'all about that he has to abide by. But we also see Asmodeus isn't strong enough to really hold Spectre or do anything. Spectre then has to seek a soul, and he starts breaking through the gates of heaven seeking this soul. Michael, the Archangel, had to come out and stop him. If you don't know, Michael is easily top 5, and well, at least at this time, especially in the verse, at least narratively. I know you can get like weird scaling, like Greg Feely shit like that, but In terms of like the typical cosmology of characters people know, he's top 5. So when Michael tells you to chill before there's problems, almost everybody's gonna chill. Spectre was not scared of Michael, and this seems to be consistent. Like, his attitude towards Michael seems to be consistent. He's not afraid of the smoke. So they they fight. Now, it was hilarious how it was kind of written, because Michael's like, dude, there's no way you're gonna swing again. We've done this before. You don't scale. And they just look at each other, and Spectre tries to blitz and gets put down. But Michael did say bound Spectre was a very formidable opponent, so that's a big up for Spectre. Big respect. He also didn't dare to destroy Spectre because Spectre serves the purpose of God. We then see Asmodeus become whole again and challenges Spectre. This is when we see a wild-ass battle. They go to a different plane of existence and start hitting each other with dreams and possibilities. You heard it right. Dreams and possibilities. That's what they're slamming in each other's face. Not planets. They look like planets, but it's explained as literal possibilities, ideas, and dreams. It's then revealed that Spectre at this point is the only one who can stop Asmodeus. And Spectre at this point, like I said, has been slamming possibilities and stuff. He's been distracted this entire fight. He's not even fighting like at his full mental capacity. At this point, the Lord of Despair, Asmodeus, starts getting punked by Spectre, and it's revealed Spectre has the power to put down Asmodeus. Moving on, we get another like random feat where we can see Spectre summon memories at a site of something that took place. We then see a wizard who summons the power of God, presence. Was unable to beat Spectre. Spectre still got through him. We then see Phantom Stranger has to scheme to basically stop what was coming next. And what was coming next is absolutely crazy. So Eclipso is being introduced. Pretty sure Eclipso jobs a lot, but in this run, he wasn't around very often. I think only once or twice. He's coming back. Spectre's crazy. Eclipso was Spectre before Spectre, which will be talked about. So anyway, Phantom Stranger picks a squad to go after Spectre. They need Spectre and Eclipso heavily weakened even to attempt to bring them in, which is crazy. Eclipso, when talking to Spectre in their confrontation, says Spectre has the power to rewrite creation, which is nuts. Etrigan, who was a part of this hit team, pulls up on Spectre, right? And you know how Etrigan is the rhyming demon. He's constantly with the bars. Spectre spits bars at him, and then he pimp slaps him. I didn't know Spectre was a rapper. If you knew the Wrath of God was a rapper before this video, let me know in the comments section down below. You are a legend. But anyway, he spit those bars and slapped the hell out of him. We then see Etrigan doing his best to put him down, literally tearing across his face. He tore his face off. He tore Spectre's face off. Spectre was like, you're starting to get annoying. It didn't even bother him. That's ridiculous given Etrigan's feats. We then see Corrigan take this wild, reckless version of Spectre back. Spectre then bolos Eclipso, who, like I said, was the original Wrath of God. The reason he lost his position and was locked away by God is because he abused his power as Wrath. He was doing too much. And he kind of took advantage of it, so he lost his position. And Spectre was stronger than him. Michael, when talking to another character, states he actually can't even see the fate of Spectre. Only the presence knows the fate of the Spectre, which is crazy. The Spear of Destiny comes into play, which is one of the strongest items in comics because of its hacks. I'll explain that. But Spectre's been shown to survive this spear several times. Messes him up a lot, but he survived it, which is absolutely nuts when I tell y'all why this weapon's so strong. It's then confirmed in Spectre Issue 21 that Spectre has indeed been sent to Limbo before and has even fought there. We then see the Spear of Destiny is being used to target Spectre to put him down. Superman gets it, and Superman basically gets mind hacked by this Spear of Destiny. So here's what happened, right? Spear of Destiny is what pierced the side of Jesus. I believe I mentioned it at the beginning. Maybe I didn't. I might be losing it, but pierced the side of Jesus. Obviously, the Son of the Presence. This is a big deal. That blood of Christ on the spear makes it stupid strong. But not only that, at one point, Hitler had it, and Hitler left the curse of his corrupt soul and his influence on the spear. And Hitler's influence was influencing Superman. Superman is Nazi level confirmed. Spread the freaking word. But anyways, he was starting to become Nazi with it, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna kill Spectre. Spectre mind hacks him, and then shows him why he can't be wilding out with the spear, and then disarms him of the spear, and it's over. They don't have to fight. 0 hour tie-in. Of course, Spectre in this run is officially confirmed an aspect of presence himself. Before, it was hinted he was God's wrath, all that stuff. He was, the wrath of vengeance for all lost souls. It wasn't specifically stated up to that point in this run that he was indeed an aspect of the presence himself. Spectre, like I said before, is bounded because of Jesus. And presence also here is referred to as the Godhead. He's referred to God, Godhead, and presence throughout this run. Corrigan's Spectre, like I said, seems to do better against Michael. Michael had fought Spectre before and one-shot him. And then in that fight I told you about, Corrigan did better. So Corrigan should be stronger than the prior Spectre. Spectre is also shown he has the power. If he had to or wanted to, he could destroy free will. That's absolutely nuts. That's a power bestowed upon us in DC Comics and in the Christian religion by God himself, and Spectre could get rid of it. That is absolutely nuts. Moving on. We see in Spectre Issue 25, Spectre has a run-in with some demon lords. This includes Belial, and when he gets at it with Belial, he tells Belial, yo, demon lords are trash, and then he beat up Belial. It was pretty embarrassing. Asmodeus originally beefed with the forearm version of Spectre from back in the day. That's where that beef originated from, and that's why they currently have beef. Spectre Issue 26, we see Asmodeus sort of wins the first fight via psychic amnesia, but the second time they fight with no weird stuff, he absolutely slaps him. So Spectre did scale above him. Spectre, he's a goon in this entire run, as you're seeing, and it gets progressively worse. I forget why, but he had to raid Hell. He was going over there to start beef. Michael had to interfere and stop him. It literally takes Michael to get this Spectre to stop. Everybody else, it's just not working. We then see Spectre spit out blood that was both physical and mystic across the entirety of the cosmos. Absolutely disgusting, but a very impressive puking feat. Asmodeus had to use bullets made of Spectre's own despair to even fight him at this point. Basically, he has to cheat and use Spectre to beat Spectre. He's also taking power from Spectre at this time, and Spectre's still fighting back. Madam then comes around. Madam pops up a lot in this series. She's very interesting. Held off Asmodeus for a little bit, and Spectre regains his faith. Spectre Issue 30. This is where Asmodeus takes the fight to hell. He needs these advantages against the Spectre. Spectre amps Madam to protect people, so he gives her some power, and is still strong enough to fight Asmodeus and does fine. He's multitasking while fighting Asmodeus. This man is fighting outer-versal characters while like doing his taxes, talking to his homies, other stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. This run, I'm telling you, jobbing was not an option for my boy. It was just not happening like that. He then banishes the true source of Asmodeus' evil acts, which was some hoe hiding inside of him. Some hoe demon, by the way. It wasn't a human. I'm not calling a human girl a hoe. Banished this hoe demon to the deepest pits of hell casually. Just ripped her out and threw her through down, all the way down to the pits. Spectre Issue 31, like I said, Spectre does not abide by the rules of hell. So like when I say he doesn't really have special domain over it, they don't have domain over him. So he walks through hell and he doesn't care. He wants smoke with anyone that's dumb enough to swing. He then runs into the hounds of hell and beats them up. He then passively negs hell up to the throne of the Hell Lord Shathan. When I say that, I mean literally hell got out the way at that point. They're like, we don't really want smoke until he arrived there. Shathan wasn't afraid, though. He then, while down here, warps the demon who powered and controlled Asmodeus while in hell on the demon's turf. He's at a disadvantage in turf and is still doing hood rat stuff. It's crazy. Asmodeus' master could not even stop Spectre. That's how crazy Spectre is. Spectre Issue 35. Naran, who comes along, this is the first time we see him in this run, says Spectre may be the strongest being in creation. When he's referencing creation in this scan, for those that are wondering, he calls it the mortal plane. Naran is a former angel based on his statement, as he says, when Spectre says, are you like the real devil? He says, every devil you will ever meet was once an angel, because he had weird hacks with angels. Naran just knew a lot. And Spectre was like, or you couldn't have been an angel. And he was like, yeah. Naran was just a goon, and he revealed himself to be stupidly powerful. However, we also see that Naran indeed considers Spectre a legit threat. He approached Spectre with the mind hacks route, with the tricking, because Spectre, when it comes to power, is, quite frankly, someone he's not trying to see with the hands, because this Spectre is not a jobber. Naran's above retcons, so he probably read the other comics and was like, Spectre's jobbing. And then he started reading this one and was like, oh, shit, he's not jobbing. So, yeah, he didn't want to fight him in a straight-up fight. Michael then goes on to say, technically, semantically, everything is an aspect of God / Godhead / presence. Got semantical with it, but that was pretty deep. This also kind of explains why humans are capable of so much. Spectre Issue 36. Jim Corrigan's soul is able to hold off demons from hell, summoned by Madam, who is amped by Naran. Naran got her to basically sign herself over for power. And he's just dealing with it. Jim Corrigan, not even Spectre. Jim Corrigan confirmed an outer-versal human goon. Jim Corrigan should have been a Marvel. What a waste of talent. Naran then gives Spectre different power. It's not really the same Spectre. And we see Jim get inside this version of Spectre to take it over and take the power back. Jim faces Spectre and bolos the spirit within him. Naran had placed a human inside of Spectre in order to fulfill the promise of the bond, and that human just could not withstand Jim. Jim got him out of there and took over Spectre again. Limbo is revealed. This is a really good feat for Limbo in terms of like sealing. Limbo can hold unbound Spectre if it needs to. We see Naran also. This is a really great feat for Naran, and this just shows how strong Spectre is, that Naran didn't want to fight him straight up. Naran was able to corrupt the Spectre Force. They actually call it the Spectre Force in this run. It was pretty cool. Spectre Issue 37. Spectre went to the Dream Plane, then transcended that to the iconic plane to battle none other than Uncle Frickin' Sam. You heard it right. The homie Spectre got run up on by Uncle Sam, the representation, the icon of America. He is the idea of America. And when we see Uncle Sam pull up, he beats the hell out of Spectre. In the chat, Comments down below. Let me know if you want to see a video on Uncle Sam, the icon plane in DC, and why it is ridiculously broken, because I haven't seen anyone talk about it. And while this is absolutely hilarious, the stuff he's doing and the people he's fighting on this plane, it's also absurd in power. So anyways, he's fighting Uncle Sam, right? He gets jumped by Uncle Sam and he loses to Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam says, yo, you might be the wrath of God, but I'm America, bitch. And then he just beats him. That's how the issue ends. So then we get to Spectre Issue 38. This, if you cannot tell by the change in my energy, this is where we're getting to the goon stories. This is where it goes off the wall craziness. Spectre Issue 38. It's confirmed the icon plane is absurd, scales above even the dream plane. And Spectre himself is actually part icon. Pretty interesting. Uncle Sam. Oh, by the way, I found out Uncle Sam had been in DC before, but it wasn't true form Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam comes from a plane outside of God's will, as in it exists outside of Judeo-Christian mythos, which is the mythos that Presence goes by. Pretty fire. Uncle Sam is OP. We then see that Spectre confirms he has outer-versal listening skills. He can hear you from places like Limbo, even if you're on the Earth plane. So that's absolutely insane. We then see that it potentially, Uncle Sam could be the result of the Illuminati. This was my suspicion when I first saw it. I was like, damn, I hate the Illuminati. But it not really. I'll kind of further extrapolate upon this fight with America Spectre's about to have. But Uncle Sam we see in flashbacks was the reason the legend of the Minutemen was born. Came as an entity to Earth, bound himself to a human soul, and wild out for America. He is the idea of America itself. And the founding fathers came together when they founded America, made a talisman with mystic energy to create the iconic idea of a free America. Brother Jonathan, who's revealed to be like the OG incarnation of Uncle Sam, had a Spectre type rule that I mentioned where he had to bind himself. This to me kind of puts him back under Presence because he's abiding by the soul rule. We then see Uncle Sam is the strongest form of Brother Jonathan. He is the iconic idea of America. Essentially, Uncle Sam represents the idea of freedom itself. Politics are then revealed to be high outerversal because politics can corrupt the damn icon plane. Human politics. Trump, when he's trolling, pissing people off, can apparently affect the iconic plane in DC. Anything can happen. Anyone can get got because of politics. That's ridiculous, but great scaling for DC humans. Maybe they're trying to test themselves against Marvel's humans, but it won't go well. Anyways, agents of the icon plane can actually kill people on the dream plane. This agent of the icon plane seems to be an aspect of Uncle Sam, and he deems himself national interest. So homeboy is the idea of protecting national interest, and Uncle Sam's mission is deemed in national interest, so he has to start doing goon stuff. The entity of national interest is made of the stuff that makes dreams. Dream manip can't affect him because of this. That's crazy. We then find out something absurd. Spectre, when absolutely utilizing his full power, his full wisdom, all that, can see, quote, objective reality. Basically, he has the eyes of Presence, aka God, if he wants it, if he can achieve it. That's how strong Spectre could be. That's absolutely nuts. We then see Spectre blitz to the dream plane before an entity could pull a trigger. That's how fast he is, flying through outerversal realms like it's nothing, son. Idea plane ballers like national interest have to be erased simultaneously as both ideas and physical manifestations. If you don't kill both at the same time, national interest is popping out again once more like a goon. This is when we see one of the craziest speed feats in battle I've seen in comics. Spectre merges a being on the physical DC Universe realm with the dream plane version of him so fast he's able to destroy him. He crosses so fast between those two planes that they crash into each other simultaneously. That's insane. And if you want to wank, it looks in the scan like Spectre's low-key like the size of both dimensions. So that's tough. Spectre then realizes his job transcends normal avenging of murders. He has to not only defend physical murder victims, but ideas that have been murdered as well. Pretty interesting. He starts to develop and learn that it's deeper than what he initially thought. Into issue 39, Spectre is seeking the American talisman that I mentioned previously because the war for the idea of the American dream has officially begun. Shit's about to get real. Issue 40. We see, further conversation about the icon realm, iconic characters. These like iconic characters, iconic things the talisman's attracted to. And we see an image of Superman in the background. I don't like that because that's potential wank, but it's there. Unfortunately, the concept of Superman should be at least icon level. But the idea plane gang that I was talking about before, they don't know how to get rid of the Spectre given how strong he is. They don't have an answer for him. And then one of the funniest things I've seen in comics. Talisman, when broken up into pieces, has been corrupted, right? And the different aspects of America that are potent or like very strong are shining through in these pieces. So he has to go collect these pieces and subsequently compete with whatever is at the pieces, right? Whatever the pieces have in store. First thing he deals with, Spectre has to fight the collective rage of the American woman. Basically, he has to fight Karen. He's fighting outer-versal Karen. Every pissed off woman ever is who is Spectre fighting. That's, bro, like you could imagine if he wrote this in like modern day with the culture now, this would be a no-go. That's why it's comedy now. The embodiment of female American rage then goes on, basically outer-versal white women, goes on to say that men, which includes Spectre, because of Jim Corrigan, only smoke cigars because they are shaped like penises. Yeah, she said they smoke dick. Of course, that offended Spectre, and he said, look, ho, I'm about to slap you. It's about to go down. Of course, this is Karen. Karen starts talking trash. Spectre is not having it. Madam comes out of nowhere and informs the representative of American Rage that indeed Spectre scales above outer-versal Karen. So she needs to watch herself before she gets her ass lit up. We then see Spectre appear in two realities at once. So like going from limbo to like the American plane. And when he does that, we find out that it actually strains all of reality. Just him doing that, he's like, yo, I gotta stop because I'm threatening to like break everything. We then see him get back into it with female rage, and he's really about to slap her. He's like, yo, bitch, you need to chill, because she was saying crazy stuff and trying to kill him. And then once more, it's confirmed that raging women do not scale to Spectre, and he beats her ass, son. Beats her down, beats down the rage of women, and takes a big W for misogyny. If you're a misogynist, you would like this comic. And in the 90s, this wasn't a big deal. But like I said, if this story was written now, it would just be, it wouldn't pass, I don't think. But knowing how, society is now, reading comics like this in retrospect it's not only funny, but it is interesting just to see how different the culture was. But yeah, so this is where we get into Spectre more and more learning about humanity and how God interprets things. So then Spectre stops a murder from taking place. Someone already got killed, and someone was about to get killed. Spectre prevented it, and he didn't punish the people that were about to kill him because they didn't technically kill that guy yet. And then all of a sudden, the guy goes, "Whoa, Spectre, wait." And Spectre's like, "What? What do you want?" Homeboy goes, "Is it because I'm gay?" Spectre, all Spectre does is look back. That's all he does, because Spectre has no damn clue what he's talking about. Spectre's just not hip to the gay stuff. He doesn't really know what it is. So he was confused, right? But when he looks back, I'm not going to lie, y'all, it looks kind of incriminating. Like, he's looking back like, "Yeah, I did it. Now what?" So it looked bad, and homeboy yelled, "You bastard." So it did look a little bad, but he wasn't being a goon because he's about to do something hilarious. All my members know this is one of my favorite moments in comics now, but he's genuinely confused by gay people because he's being told that Christians, don't like gays, so he doesn't know if they're bad or not. And he talks and he explains that he's confused, and as a result, he stops what he's doing, flies his ass to heaven, which, like I said, high outer versal travel casually. Like this man got, it's almost like if you're at the park and you had a question for your mom and you run home and ask her a question. He did this, except he's traveling to heaven. I hope you people understand how ridiculous that is. Like how fast Spectre is. He runs up there, sees Michael. Remember, last time these two were met, they threw down. They had a bar fight, okay? So remember that. This is their relationship. Shows up. Michael's like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing at Heaven's Gate, Spectre? Like, did you figure yourself out, or what are you doing?" Spectre goes, "I have a question." And he yells as loud as he can, "Are there homosexuals in heaven?" And Michael goes on to explain, this is interesting, but it makes sense. Michael says heaven is beyond being gay or not being gay. Those ideas don't apply to a transcendental realm like heaven. So Spectre realizes, okay, gay people aren't the enemy despite what I was being told on Earth and what was being implied. So that was pretty cool to see, and kind of cool to see the growth. Besides that being hilarious that he flew to heaven to ask if gay people were the ops or if they were his homies. That's funny, but he figures out, you can't hold, like, he asked Michael, he said, but isn't it a sin to be gay? And Michael says, y'all sin every day. People sin every day. So, like, don't throw stones at a glass house. Moral of the story. It was really good for character development and a really good story in a non-cheesy way. So this is when we see Spectre return to Earth, knowing that gay people are cool. He scraps the concept of gay haters. Literally, the accumulation of any hate towards gays in America ever, like the idea of not liking gays, became a concept, and Spectre slapped the hell out of him. He cut Spectre's head off, and Spectre said, "Yo, you gotta stop hating on my gay homies," and proceeds to maul him. It was amazing. One of the funniest fights ever. I'm telling you guys, if you're not convinced to read this run, I hope this is starting to really sell you on the idea of picking the run up. Spectre Issue 47. Phantom Stranger, who arguably bigger jobber than Spectre, although he's not nearly as strong as Spectre, says Spectre actually had the latent power to one-shot every crisis ever up to that point. This is the mid-90s. Spectre then is shown to scale above Gaia as a metaphor, as well as all her help, including the green. So when I say Gaia, Gaia is not only Earth, but the idea of Earth, right? And Spectre scales above that, including her agents, which would be green agents like Swamp Thing. Big wank for Spectre. Shout out to the new Spectre fans. I'm giving y'all some crazy scaling. If you want these scans, all these scans are in my member server. Simply comment down below and we'll get you situated. I hope you're loving this video, by the way. I'm loving talking about it because this run was crazy. We then see Gaia reminisce on basically when Parallax, was let loose by Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan sacrificed himself to stop it, even though it was his fault. But anyways, the fact he did that, though, according to the flashback with Guy and Spectre, arguably made Hal Jordan one of the best and greatest heroes of all time. Spectre, whose power has always been to destroy evil, has to come to realize he can use his power for creation as well. He doesn't have to be just a negative, destructive force. And he shows this when he helps cure Gaia, and he tanks the metaphoric evil that plagues her. So she's dying because humans are destroying Earth and the idea of Earth. They don't care about Earth or just what Earth is or represents, and it's killing her. And he tanks just this idea of anger and animosity. Spectre then has to go after another piece of the talisman. So we got talisman for angry Karens. We got talisman. We had to beat up the gay haters because of that. Now we are getting involved with Native Americans, right? So when this happens, Native Americans are trying to get their land back, right, from America. Suits them right. They definitely got robbed, right? I actually have Native American in me. But Spectre offers to help them. And you've seen the character design by now of Spectre. This Native American with the talisman who's going to try to use power of his ancestor says Spectre can't help him because Spectre looks like literally the whitest man of all time. It was comedy. Spectre was so confused about why that was the deciding factor, but it was comedy. Spectre issue 49. Spectre once more gets stabbed with the spear of destiny. The racists are coming forth. The crazy American cult I was telling you all about, they're coming forth. They're getting desperate because Spectre's starting to collect talisman pieces. They got to help the racists. They got to help the crazy Americans. So he gets stabbed with the spear of destiny. They had gotten it. Last time he dealt with it, he BFR'd it to like the sun, I think. They had gone and gotten it and brought it back. So he gets stabbed, right? Not only is he stabbed with the Spear of Destiny, the Spear of Destiny is being amped by the metaphorical hate within the heart of America. Any hatred ever before in American hearts was amping that Spear of Destiny, and he gets stabbed by it. Spectre took the stab and kept fighting. This could almost kill the idea of Spectre. Jim Corrigan's Spectre is just grinding so hard, just getting more skill points every day that he can take these stabs even when the stabs are amped and keep fighting. We then find out, even crazier still, again, I hope you love the feats, Spectre was already heavily weakened when stabbed. By the way, I'd like to highlight 50 issues in, no jobbing. This run is amazing. Shout out to the one run where he doesn't job. Anyway, Spectre, while weakened, took a hit from a being on a physical, spiritual, and iconic level at the same exact time and survived even after he had already been stabbed by that Spear of Destiny. Insane. Spectre issue 50. Spectre survived and is confirmed to have survived multiple hits from the spear. He pretended it killed him in order to get away, but he's like, yo, they are wildin'. But I mean, it's just absurd that he survived all this. And this is when we meet Patriot. If you want a video on Patriot, let me know in the comment section down below. Patriot's hilarious. He shows up. He brings the good vibes, the good energy, because he is the manifestation of America's hopes and dreams. Basically, think of the idea of Superman being hope. He's like that, but American symbolism, hope, and dreams. But Superman was written in America anyway, so low-key, Patriot's a cool version of the concept of superhero, which is Superman. But, you know, I do think Superman leans towards conceptually just the idea of the superhero. Patriot's the idea of hopes and dreams. Take it that way. And he's just there to help his boy out, which is Spectre. We then see Spectre fight the entity known as American Scream. American Scream is stronger than what I mentioned before, which was, like hate, because he's just darkness in the heart of America. He's just all things bad, an accumulation of sadness, depression, anger, suicidal thoughts, homicidal thoughts, anything bad, anything darkness that corrupts humanity, corrupts the soul of Americans ever. That's what American Scream is, and he starts scrapping with it because Spectre doesn't run. Spectre ain't no bitch. Despite being American himself and having some of the darkness of being an American. That's right, if you're American, you got a little darkness in you, son. You're a little outer-versal. Spectre and Jim are still able to cast out American Scream from possessing him. This is a high outer-versal possession resistance feat. It's crazy. Spectre then has to battle on the plane of iconic ideas in the metaphorical heart of America. This is absurd. Homie is really fighting high outer-versal America. If you're American, hit the damn like button, okay? We're showing out even though some of these guys are assholes. Anyway, Spectre goes on to win against American Scream. His belief was simply too strong for even an icon level character. Also, Spectre goes on to say that the sun in the DC universe can purify something like high outer-versal corruption of the Spear of Destiny. Crazy. Shout out to DC's sun. Apparently you stunt hard. I didn't know that. Patriot, who again, you know, he showed up, helped out. He's just squad and he's about to dip. Says that he will exist as long as Americans have hopes and dreams. He can't be gotten rid of. Crazy. Like I said, if you want to see him again, let me know. Anyways, Spectre then reveals that humans or anyone he doesn't like, if he chooses to not let them see him, they can't see him. It just depends on if he wants you to see him. Batman then gets involved with Spectre. Famously, they've had some TMZ type beef before where Batman drop kicked him. You know, it's been some wild shit in the streets between the two. They don't have the best of relationships, despite one being street level, one being outer-versal. Batman talks trash. Anyway, Spectre gets the drop on Joker, who's evil as hell. And Batman starts debating Spectre on whether or not Joker should be punished. Batman got semantical to save Joker. Stupid move by Batman. Spectre could have ended all the beef right there and just gotten rid of Joker. But he argued Joker shouldn't be punished because he didn't have a consciousness, because he doesn't know the difference between good and evil. He literally has no consciousness. So how can you punish him? Because that means he didn't knowingly commit evil. He doesn't know it's evil. So he got semantical and it confused the hell out of. Shout out to my boy Spectre for being confused as shit. Also, we'll just call it high outer-versal mind for. No, it's not even 4D. It's just outer-versal chess Batman. Hit up the Batman memes. Anyways, despite recent events in which he realized Joker doesn't have a consciousness, Corrigan still bullies and defeats the Joker when Joker took the Spectre from him. So he literally, they started battling inside the soul of Joker. Joker's like, my soul's too corrupt. You recently got stabbed by the spear. You're hurt. I'm a bolo you. Jim Corrigan wasn't having it. Boloed Joker, and Joker starts seeing what he's done wrong, and he started like freaking out in his mind. And we see Jim Corrigan get Spectre back, and Spectre doesn't end up judging Joker because Joker doesn't know good from evil. That was proven to be true upon that visit. Pretty interesting, but it was stupid by Batman because he could have gotten rid of Homeboy. We then see Spectre is able to withstand the strain of dualities like punishment and preservation. Opposite ideas he gets hit with, tears him apart, but he endures. Spectre also shows that he can make the idea of corruption real. Corrupt thoughts, your just corruptive behavior, the essence of corruption, he can manifest that as a real thing, as a punishment to people that need punishment. We then see Spectre fight the Helllord Shathan, who scaled above Asmodeus. If you remember, a long time ago in this video, because this is a damn movie at this point, Spectre ran up on this Helllord. There was a brief exchange. We didn't really see them scrap. This might actually be a different one. The spelling seems slightly different. It might be a Shaitan, and this is Shathan that he saw earlier. Regardless, we know for sure this Helllord scales above the Helllords he fought before. Spectre doesn't give a shit. Spectre goes on to seal Shaitan. Spectre's about it in this run, I'm telling you. Hashtag no anti-feeds. He's just putting in work. We also see Spectre. I didn't know this. Spectre is responsible for the black version of Mr. Terrific. Him and Jim Corrigan ran into the guy that would later go on to become Mr. Terrific because of the inspiration of Jim Corrigan and Spectre. Spectre, like any good high outer versal aspect of God would do, does what he does best. He starts his own cops show. He needs people to see, click it or ticket, damn it. He's coming for you if you're evil. So yeah, he started a reality show in this run. I can't make that up. Spectre is starting to weaken again because Jim's confused. Jim's confused about his faith and what he believes in. And this is, again, when we see Spectre instant travel to heaven. He's going, I believe, to, test his faith, see if he can fix it, all shit like that. Heaven is empty. Issue 57 of Spectre, no one's there. Heaven is empty. For the first time, Spectre gets in because nobody's there. Absolutely nuts. God's missing. Because he's missing and there's no one in heaven, no souls, no Michael, nothing, he has to go start looking. One of the first places he looks in Limbo. Also, shout out to Deadman. Deadman was in Limbo. He kind of got smart with Spectre when Spectre asked him a question, and Spectre bullied the hell out of him, and it was pretty funny. But shout out to Deadman for casually hanging out in Limbo. Holy sh... Anyways, we see Spectre realize God's not in Limbo. He's going to check hell. Casually, we see Spectre break down the innermost gate of hell. Like, literally, the people watching hell at this point, which were like two angels, I think, they're like, dude, this is the innermost gate of hell. It didn't matter. He kicked it in. He was like, yo, what's good? Once more, in a callback to something I told y'all like 40 plus issues ago, Spectre is once more compared to Lucifer, as if they're the same idea. Very weird, very interesting couple references that, like I said, I don't think that's ever been expanded upon. So, but yeah, it's mentioned again. And then when Spectre presents to these angels that heaven is indeed, or God's missing and everyone in heaven is missing, Spectre gets jumped by all the demons in hell. They all jump him at once. Lucifer's not there, obviously, stuff like that. Like, they're not there, but all the demons jump him, and he's down at the furthest pits of hell, so, because he's innermost. So yeah, he gets annoyed and destroys them. They jumped him because they were scared. It was stated they were scared because if God's gone, they will be gone, because hell is a shadow reflection of heaven. Hell needs heaven. So if God's gone, they're in trouble, and they panicked and attacked him, and he beat them up. We then see that he's going to go ahead and go check in with the new gods and see if they know where the hell God is, because new gods are revealed to be an aspect of the presence. For those of y'all that rely on Platonic concepts with like one iffy argument, you have so much more material for new gods. Use stuff like this. It's so much better and so much stronger anyway. Spectre Issue 58, he travels to the source of all things. Do not get this confused with the source. This is actually a different place. This is called the source of all things, because he goes to the source later. The living land are beings who are, and this is the living land, are ideas that had self-realization. Spectre held off Shango, who was one of their gods. He who is the storm pulls up on Spectre. He's like, why are y'all in this realm? And he's like, worry about yourself, bitch, because Spectre's a gangster, and they start fighting and doesn't do anything to Spectre, and the fight gets broken up. He doesn't learn anything from this realm. Basically, they tell him, hey, every pantheon has a different interpretation of presence. Go ask them, see if they can give you anything. He's like, fair enough, I'm gonna go talk. Issue 58, we go to Olympus. We see Zeus there. Zeus is stupid strong, boy. It said Zeus was sitting on his throne, casually considering making and unmaking gods and realities. Those were just the casual thoughts on his mind. Absurd. Then we get a weird... By the way, Zeus tried to one-shot Spectre. Spectre casually caught his lightning bolt. It was pretty funny. But we get this weird implication that Darkseid and like Highfather created Olympus. Zeus says that the new gods like Darkseid and Highfather spawn places like Olympus and stuff. But I believe even if that was the case, Zeus wasn't saying he was there. Just Olympus was created. Spectre then says he's coming back to ruin Ares eventually. If you don't know, DC's Ares isn't a jobber, and when he talks trash, a lot of people get shook. Spectre didn't care because Ares came out the cut and started talking trash. Spectre said, "You've done a lot of bad things over the eons, and just so you know, one day you're gonna have to answer for that. Even though you're a god, like, it doesn't matter. You're gonna have to own up to it." And Spectre said, "I'm gonna be the one coming back for your ass, so look forward to that ass whooping." And then he left. Ares didn't say anything. It was pretty dope. In a kind of funny exchange, Spectre pulls up on Darkseid to see if Darkseid knows anything. He doesn't even want to tell Darkseid presence is gone because he knows Darkseid would literally try to become God. That's just how Darkseid gets down. It's pretty funny character explanations for Darkseid in this. And then Spectre goes on to talk about how Darkseid is a problem to deal with because Darkseid, because of his character, what he represents as an archetypal idea, he literally inherently can't process that someone could be stronger than him. If you pull up on Darkseid with top tier scaling and you show him perfect scaling that scales characters above him, he's going to laugh at you because ain't nobody stronger than Darkseid. That's his literal, like, that's what he thinks. So Spectre said that's why he's such a problem, because he literally believes he's the strongest and he's going to strive to prove it. We then see, Spectre, enough is enough. He's got to go to the source, right? The source is supposed to be God. He travels there, goes through the source wall, finds the source, starts asking questions, wants to know where God is. Basically, it asks him, oh, so you want to know what God's like, what God has to deal with, what God's dealing with. The source allows Spectre to merge with it. That's right. At one point, for a brief amount of time, Spectre was God. At this point, Spectre gets frustrated with being God. He says it's frustrating because of free will. The concept of free will leads to all the stupid stuff that creation does. And the fact that no one's gotten rid of it, that idea just annoys the hell out of Spectre. And he's like, yeah, I could never be presence. And then let it be known, I hope you guys noted, Spectre survived being God. He momentarily took up that power and saw everything like that. And he survived. It's crazy. Spectre Issue 60. Spectre is a walking contradiction because he was spawned from injustice to fight injustice. It's almost like because bad things happen, he's made from bad things, does bad things to make them go away. It's like almost like Spectre never had a chance to be right, basically. Spectre then, and this is one of the best endings to a run ever, man. This ending is so damn good. Spectre and Jim, in order to understand God, find God, they've got to do soul searching within themselves because there are mental walls. There are things behind Jim in his head that he won't revisit, like memories he's just suppressed. Spectre, they look at each other. Spectre says, "You won't go there, but I will." And Spectre enters the soul of Jim to see the past and to see why Jim isn't able to fully realize his faith, right? So this is when Spectre realizes there's so much turmoil in Jim. Jim had mentioned previously when he big beefed with racism that basically he didn't have much experience with black people growing up, but his best friend when he was a kid was black, and his name was Rafe. Rafe lived at their house. I think his mom was like the maid. And they were best friends, hung out every day. Color wasn't an issue between them two. They were just two innocent kids, hung out, best friends, all that, right? One night, Jim, whose dad was a preacher, by the way, witnessed his preacher dad, in PG words, taking advantage of Rafe's mom. He walked in on it. And when he did, Rafe pulls him back and says, yo, because and this is so messed up because they're little kids. He says, My mom said that if we tell anyone, we won't be able to live here anymore because he's a preacher, so you can't say anything. So Rafe saw that all the time, apparently, or he at least was aware of it, and he couldn't do anything about it. He had to just accept it. It was horrible. And it didn't matter. Jim didn't snitch, right? Jim says himself, and it's shown in his soul, he never told anybody what he saw. But the problem was, Jim's mom found out about it anyway. And because of the shame that Jim's dad was a preacher and how much, clout preachers had, especially back in those days, and the fact that he was getting with a black woman at that time, the mom threw Rafe and his mom out. And then this is where we see little... Oh man, this was tough, dog. This was so deep. So Spectre finds out Jim actually hated God this whole time. He hated God for the death of Rafe. So basically what happens is when he finds out Rafe got kicked out and Rafe's mom couldn't find Rafe, he knew where Rafe was. He said he's going to be running back to our favorite spot. So Jim takes off. The little kid Jim runs, and he goes to their old hangout, which is in like the woods. It's a horrible storm, and Rafe drowned. And basically, when confronted by his dad, and his dad started telling him, "Oh, Rafe's in a better place now. He's in heaven. It's God's will." Little Jim just lost it. He said, "If you are who God loves and you represent God, I don't want any part of that." And I was like, damn. So Jim's had this in his heart, and he hasn't thought about it, but he's had this in his heart his whole life. That's why he's never been able to achieve true peace and true happiness and true understanding when he was on Earth and when he's binded with Spectre as well. This is where we get towards the ending of this story. It's been a long ride. If y'all are still here, I appreciate you. Spectre Issue 61, God's Gone Mad. Spectre finds the presence. When he finds him, Spectre witnesses presence killing Michael. And he's like, holy shit. Like, this is getting real. He confronts Presence, right? And he's like, what are you doing? You're destroying creation. Presence goes, hey, dummy, who made the creation? Why can't I do what I want with what I made? Low-key has a point. Low-key has a point. Like, he's above all that. Spectre starts popping off. He's like, bro, you are doing too much, and gets popped by Presence. Presence actually hits him. Wild Presence hits him. Spectre actually survives it. Spectre then gets like mind hacks by Presence. And it's like this weird thing where he's like basically shown his dad and why, because Presence point basically was, you have so much hate for your father, but you don't understand him. Like, you don't understand. You are actually, with all this run, with all these times Jim Corrigan and Spectre has seen the like I told y'all, the whole message of don't throw stones in a glass house, don't judge people because you're a sinner too. This whole time, Jim Corrigan didn't understand his dad. So Jim Corrigan was actually, we find out, a mistake. His dad had given in to temptation, hooked up with Jim's mom, and had a baby. And instead of like getting rid of Jim or the mom, he stuck with Jim, and he stuck with the mom, lived with him. That's why the marriage was always a mess. Family life was always a mess, because Jim's dad was constantly trying to atone from his sins. And we see his dad literally like sobbing because he understands he's not a good man. Like, he has a lot of issues, even though he says he's a man of God. And when Jim witnesses this, he forgives his dad in the process. This mind hacks by the Presence was basically Presence showing him, like I said, the irony of what he was doing. But in this process, Spectre looks up at Presence and says, I understand why you're upset, because no matter how many times you make creation, it's flawed. And the reason you can never make it unflawed is because it's made in your image, which only means you have to be flawed too. And Presence just looks at him and then lets him go. And Spectre, this is where we get the end of the story, where Spectre issue 61 is finally going to be laid to rest. Jim Corrigan is finally going to be able to get some rest. This was an awesome moment where everybody that he's influenced throughout this run shows up. We see Black Mr. Terrific, who he didn't even know he had influenced Mr. Terrific. He shows up and explains what Spectre did for him. Superman shows up. It was like Quantum Superman, I think. It tells him how important he was. Patriot, my boy Patriot, comes through, says thank you. Shout out to America. America loves you. You always got a home here. Gaia even sent her people to say bye to Spectre and tell him how important he was. Even Swamp Thing, like I told you, I scales above Swamp Thing, is confirmed he's an agent for her. And this is where finally we see, because he got to understand everything, and he got to understand his father and forgive his father and understand God and evil, confronted evil and learned about it and grew throughout the run. Jim finally gets to go to heaven. He finally gets to rest. He's earned it, and we see him get taken up to heaven, man. It was so damn cool. We then see Phantom Stranger talking to people, and Phantom Stranger, being the loser he is, basically foreshadows that Spectre's gonna job. He's like, yeah, Spectre's gonna go back to jobbing after this. Damn it. But anyways, the run ends, like I said, with Corrigan finally getting rest, and it says in the end, James Corrigan, and then the signs finally fully revealed, servant of God. In the end, he truly did become an agent of God in a true, great representation of the wrath of God. In the end, one of the best 60 run issues, one of the best runs I've ever read. I enjoyed it a lot. It had funny moments, it had powerful moments, it had goon moments. Most importantly, Spectre never jobbed in this run. It was amazing. If you want non-jobber Spectre, definitely check out this video and check out this run from Ostrander, 1992 to 1998. Absolutely loved it. I have nothing but praise. I hope you enjoyed this short film I did on everybody's favorite comic jobber, the strongest jobber there is, God's favorite jobber, Spectre, and on the run where he finally got to show he was not a hoe. He got to show he was about that life, and it was an amazing run. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see an explanation, because I actually found the root of jobbing for Spectre, if you want to see an explanation on why Spectre is a jobber, let me know in the comment section down below. Anyways, guys, if you stuck through to watch this whole thing, thank you. Once again, shout out to Garland. I hope you get better, buddy. We're praying for you. It's been your favorite villain. I'll see y'all later. Peace.